Yeah, so the topics that we are going to discuss today are it's very basic. Okay, so it's perceptron, Dalin, and medallion. This perceptron is nothing but is a single neuron that is available in the architecture. You generally know this architecture of ANN, right? So you have multiple layers, and this links. There are links between all the neurons. Okay, and it gets connected to all other neurons. Now, this each individual circle, this component, this is known as a unit, and this is known as a perceptron. Each single neuron is known as a perceptron. Okay, so we'll be discussing about the perceptron in detail. So what is happening inside this neuron? Okay, and what is the input and output for this neuron? And the next one is Adalin structure. So this Adalin, no, why did we come for this Adalin structure? Is that in case of perceptron, we don't have a concept called back propagation. So only if back propagation is possible, the network can learn on its own because it has to know change its weights and biases automatically so that it can learn according to the given circumstances. But this back propagation is not possible in perceptron. We have to do the changes manually. So in order to overcome that shortcoming, we came up with a concept called Adalin. Okay, it's the same perceptron with back propagation. Okay, so this combination is known as adalin. The expansion for this adalin is known as adaptive linear network. Okay, so it will adapt on its own according to the given scenarios. Okay, so it's a linear structure, which means the information flows in a straight direction, the forward direction. Okay, so this medallion is nothing but it's an extended version of this adalin. Okay, the same thing. So this is extended version of adult. Okay, so now we'll look at each concept in detail. Now let's see what's a perceptron. And now look at this. So this is a perceptron. Okay, this is your input layer. These are not your neurons actually. So this can be in the box also, any shape. So these are your inputs actually. So this is the neuron that we've been talking about. Okay, now this is known as a perceptron. Okay, so this perceptron takes inputs. Yeah, x1 and x2 are inputs. So this is x2, this is x1. You can have any number of inputs here. Okay, so it takes the inputs along with the weights. So these are your weights. Okay, so these are your weights, and this is your bias value, which is always one constant value. Okay, so it takes all these as an input. Okay, and then it does some calculation inside this, and it fires the output accordingly. Okay. So now what happens inside this neuron? So now first of all, I'll tell you the characteristics. So characteristics of a perceptron. Okay, so the first point is a single neuron. Okay, then it takes inputs along with adjustable weights. Okay, and also it has this bias value. It's a constant value. It doesn't change, so it's a constant value. Okay, and then so based on this, it does a it uses an activation function to calculate the threshold. Calculate the value which can be compared with the threshold. So it compares with the threshold value. For example, let's say this is the I'll tell, like, let's have the value as k, the calculated value as k. So it compares it with the threshold which we set the threshold value, and depending on that, it fires the output or activates the neuron. Okay, so if this k value, the calculated value is greater than the threshold, then the neuron is activated or fired. The output is actually sent out of the neuron. If this k value is less than the threshold value, then the neuron is deactivated. So there's no output from this neuron. So this neuron stays deactivated. Okay. So these are the characteristics and the working structure of a perceptron. Now we'll look at exactly what this activation function and the calculation done in the neuron. Now look at this. This is a simple example. This is a circle, the unit that we've been talking about. These are your inputs. For example, let's say this is your x1, this is your x2, and this is your x3 value. Okay. What happens is that we have weights here. So this is your weight. This 0.7 is a weight for x1, 0.6 weight for x2, 1.4 is weight for x3. So you're going to basically do the summation work here. Okay, so the first one is x1 into this 0.7 plus then this x2 into 0.6 and x3 into this 1.4. Okay, so I'm going to calculate all these values. I'm going to sum up everything. Okay, along with I'm going to add this bias constant value. Okay, so this is the calculation part. So this is my second work. So the first part is the weight part, the second is the calculation part, and the third is the activation function. So I'm going to use any activation function. So we have learned about the various activation functions, right? We'll take for example binary or sigmoid. Just for example, I'm taking the sigmoid activation function. So I'm going to pass this calculated value. This calculated value inside this. So summation of x into w plus bias. So this is the formula, right? I'm going to pass this entire value into this activation function, and this is going to give me the value k. Okay. Now I have my threshold value. I'm going to compare it with this threshold value, this k. If it's greater than the given threshold value, then the output is given. The output is fired. If this calculated value is less than theta, then there is no output. Okay, so this is the function of a parser. Hope you guys are clear with the concept. Okay, it's a single neuron which does the summation part along with the bias, and then it also performs the activation part of the neuron. So this perceptron is responsible for the architecture to work. It is responsible to make the neuron active or deactive. And then, so I'll show you the proper structure of the perceptron. Now look at this. It's a detailed structure. I hope you guys can see this. Now look at this. So these are your input values x1, x2, x3. You can have any number of input values up to m. So this is 1 to m. Okay, and you have the weights, respective weights here. Okay, w1, w2, and everything. I'll just zoom in. Much clearer. Okay, so I have the weights, along with it I have this constant value bias. So for the first thing I'm going to do is the summation part, which this is your adder. So this entire thing is your neuron. This is your circle, actual circle. Okay, so everything is happening inside this neuron. So you have the adder part, that is your summation work. You combine everything, and then from that value is applied on the activation function. You have the function here, this value is passed on here. So here you perform the comparison, and then based on that you give the output. Okay, so this is the structure of a perceptron. Hope you guys are clear. Now we'll look at, so this is a concept, right? Now we have to look at the formula part. So how it is actually happening. Look at this. So initially, how do you train this perceptron? Okay. Now one more thing I have to tell you is that it's not that you have to talk about only the single neuron. You can also have many neurons attached together with a single output. So that is known as multiple perceptron. Yeah, I'll also show you something for that. Okay, so this is the perceptron that we saw, right? So x1 and x2 is a single unit perceptron. You see this, right? There are other neurons available. So now this concept is known as multiple perceptron with a single output. So this structure is known as multiple perceptron with single output. No, it is purely based on us only. Okay, we can design the architecture as per our requirements. Either you want a single neuron in your architecture, or you want multiple neurons, or you want a single layer, or you need n number of layers to need single output, or you need like n number of outputs. It's purely according to us. Okay, it's purely dependent on us, and also based on the requirements. Okay, now this concept is known as multiple perceptron with single output. Yeah. So how do you train the architecture? So you have these three elements here, the links which provides with the weights. Okay, so this is the connection links. These lines are known as the links. Okay, which carries the weight and the bias. Okay, and then you have the adder part, and the third one is the activation function. So these are the basic elements or basic components that you have in your perceptron. Okay, now okay, yeah. Sorry. This is going to give you either the output as 0 or 1. If it no, if the neuron is activated, then your output is going to be 1. If the neuron is deactivated, then the output is going to be 0. As I told you, if k is greater than theta, then the output is 1. If the k is less than theta, then the output is 0. Okay, so now this is known as binary output. Okay, now this type is known as binary output. Okay, how do you train the algorithm? Initially, what you have to do, the very basic step that you have to do is that you have to initialize the weights and the bias. So bias is always going to be 1. We'll have the weights as 0 in the initial case. Okay, so it's going to be 0 and the bias is 1. So based on your output or based on the requirement, we'll be changing the weights and biases. That we'll see later. For now, you know whatever the architecture is, you will initialize the weights with 0 for the first time and bias with 1 constant value. And then you have this learning rate. Okay, we'll talk about the learning rate in the future, so you don't worry about that. Just know the concept, the terminology around learning rate. Okay, so again, moving into the architecture, sorry, the formula part. So first is you have to activate the inputs, right? So this xi is your input. You can have it as xi itself. You need not worry about this si. Okay, so this xi is enough. And then again, so since it's a single, you have this architecture. Remember this architecture. So this is your x1, x2, and you have your bias here with weights 1 and 2. So this is your architecture, right? You have to calculate the output. So this is your what you have to calculate everything. How do you do that? The summation part, x1 into w1, x2 into w2 plus the bias, right? The same thing I'm given here, x into w. Okay, since it's summation, the I can change. You can have any number of inputs here. So this, on expanding this, it's going to be x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2. Okay, so this is the actual formula for your architecture, and with that you have the bias value. So why it is given as in, these are the inputs for your neuron, right? So your incoming values, so that is known as y in. Okay, that is why it is termed as y in. Now fine, okay, so what do you have to do? This next part is activation function. So on top of this y in, you are going to apply the activation function. That is what is given here. So I'm applying the activation function. So based on the threshold value, I'm going to calculate the output. If y in, I mean the calculated value is greater than, on applying this, if it's greater than the threshold value, then your output is going to be 1. Else, it's going to be 0. Okay, you have the third condition also, -1 here. It depends. So this is the calculation part. Now how I'm going to update your weights and bias values. Okay. Now I'll tell you once again, since there is no back propagation available in the perceptron, you have to do this updation manually. You have to look for the error values manually, compare it with the target value. For example, let's say 5 into 5 is 25, that we know for clear. But the system doesn't know, right? For example, it is giving the values 5 into 5 is equal to 24. You know it is 25, actual value is 25, but the result that you got is 24. Now you have to make the correction here, calculate the error value, and then update the weights accordingly. Okay, so this work has to be done manually in case of perceptron. That is what it's given here. Okay, so this t is the target value. Okay, so it's a target value that we know. And this xi is your input value, this alpha is your learning rate. So you calculate the error, total error in the updation along with the initial weight, the old weight. For example, let's say that you had weight around, no, you had 0, like initialized 0. Now, for example, let's say this is the calculated weight, error value. Okay, so this part, 0.2. Now, and adding this, it's going to be 0.2. So now the new weight is 0.2. New weight is 0.2. So this is how you have to update the weight. Again, the same thing with bias. You don't have this xi component in bias because it is a constant value. We can now look at your architecture. It is not related to your inputs at all. So you have this bias separately here. It is not at all related to your inputs. Only the weights are associated with the inputs. Okay. So that is why you are multiplying these two. This bias stays separate. To get the difference, please don't buy heart anything. Just understand the concept, only then you can remember the formulas. Okay, so it's a basic concept. The weights are associated with input values, and that is why you have this xi in your weight updation. The bias has nothing to do with your input, so there's no xi component in your bias. Okay, so this is how you update it. Okay. If the target value and the obtained values are same, for example, the network is giving me 5 into 5 is 25, and I know the correct answer is 25. So if it's equal, if it's same, if it's y equal to t, I mean the calculated value and the target value is same, then you don't have to update the weights and bias at all. It remains same. The new weight and the old weight is same, new bias and the old bias is same. You can stop here itself because this is your stopping condition. Because the network has learned. Okay, whatever it has to learn, it has learned already. So this is your stopping condition. So in this case, you don't have to do the updation part. Okay, so this is about perceptron. And in case of perceptron itself, as I told you, there can be multiple outputs, right? So you see, earlier we had just one output. Here you have multiple outputs here. So y1, y2, and so on up to yn. Okay, any number of outputs can be there. This number of outputs is not dependent on the number of inputs. This is an important point. I'll tell you. So number of inputs is not dependent on number of outputs. Okay, keep this in mind. You have n inputs here, 1 to n inputs here, and you have 1 to m outputs here. It's different. N, m. Okay, it need not to be same. Again, the same architecture. You have like multiple outputs here. So what you have to do is same training, initialize your x value, set your weight equal to 0 and bias equal to 1. Okay, and your learning rate equal to 1. The same formula, ma, don't be confused. Again, you have to calculate the y in for all the neurons. Same formula. What do you do generally in the neuron? You multiply the xi into the w, and along with it you add the bias value. Okay, so this is how you have, and on top of this you calculate the activation function. Same formulas. Okay, don't get confused. The same formulas. The only thing that you do different from the perceptron and the multiple output is that tj. You see this in the earlier formula. Just remember this. Okay, you have alpha tj xi. Okay, so in the earlier case we had it as alpha t xi. I'll show you the difference. Wait, now look at here, it's alpha t and xi. Why is that? Now you have tj here. It is because, what did I tell you, this t is your target value, right? So t is your target value. Since you have multiple outputs here, okay, so each output will have its own value, right? For example, so this is your output. I have like 3 outputs here. Okay, so this is my output layer. These are my 3 outputs. This is saying cat, this is classifying as dog, and this one as alligator or whatever. Okay, I have 3 different outputs here. Okay, for example, the network is giving the output as cat. Okay, in this case I have to cat, so this is going to be output 1, and this is output 2, this is output 3. For each type of output I have my target value. Again there's a target value, again there's a target value. So I have to calculate the target value, I have to calculate the error with the respective target value. If it's alligator, for example, let's say for alligator I'm having the value as 0.8. So this is the actual, this is the target value. Okay, and the obtained value is going to be 0.6. Again, for dog, the actual value is going to be 0.7 and the obtained is 0.5. Okay, so in this case you need to show the difference between each output. So that is why I have again this y1, y2, y3 is I value. Again, I'm sorry, yeah, so this t I'm going to give t1, t2, and t3. So this is represented in the form of j. You can replace any value here. So based on this you calculate the difference part. So this is going to be minus 0.2 and this is going to be 0.2. Okay, it is like that. So for multiple output units, you have to tell which output it belongs to. So that way you have this j component here. Again, when coming to the bias part, you don't have the inputs here. Okay, because it doesn't have the association with the input. So all you have to do is compare it with the target output. So your bias is updated here. If your target and the obtained value are same, then you don't have to do any modification at all. Clear with this? So this is the only difference in the formula when compared to your previous perceptron and this multiple output units. Okay. And the next topic is adaptive linear neuron. As I told you, the advantage of this over perceptron is back propagation. So perceptron plus back propagation together is known as adaptive linear neuron. So it adapts us on its own as per the requirements. Okay. Now, these are the characteristics. The first point is that it uses bipolar activation. What is the difference between bipolar is that in case of binary, it is either 0 or 1. That is known as binary. If it's bipolar, then the values are going to be in the range of -1 to 1. That is the only difference. If it's bipolar, then the values are going to be in the range of -1 to 1. If it's binary, then it's 0 to 1. That is the only difference. So this adaptive linear neuron uses this bipolar activation function. What are all the activation functions that makes use of bipolar values that can be used in case of adaptive? And also it uses delta rule for finding the error value. That is nothing but your target value minus the obtained value. This we'll see in the formula, don't worry about that. Okay? So these are the characteristics. Again, let's look at the architecture. Now see, it's the same perceptron architecture with this back propagation. This is the only difference. Look at this diagram clearly. Okay, now look at this. You have the inputs with weights, bias, adder, activation function, output. So this is your perceptron. In perceptron, you have just added this back propagation, weight adjustment. Okay, this is adder. I'll just go to the perceptron architecture, so it will be very clear for you to compare. Okay, look at this diagram. All you have is inputs, adder, activation function, output. Okay, I'll go to perceptron. See this? Same architecture, same perceptron architecture. Only additional part that we had is the back propagation part in case of Adalin. Okay. Yes. See this? That's what I told you. Perceptron plus back propagation gives you this Adalin structure. Okay. So what you do in case of back propagation, you compare the value with the target output and then you update the weights accordingly. So this is known as back propagation. Again, let's go into the training part. Initialize the weights and bias. So this is going to be 0, this is 1, alpha rate is also going to be 1. Okay. Training algorithm. Initialize the input. The same calculation part. Yn is equal to bias plus summation of xi wi. Same thing. See, in the earlier case, it was 0 and 1. Here it is 1 and -1. I told you like bipolar. So these are the bipolar values. -1 and 1. Okay. Now, if your obtained value and the target value are not same, which means the network has to learn something, so you have to do the updation part here. Now this is known as delta rule. So your target value minus the obtained value with respect to the input. Okay, the same formula. Alpha t, instead of t you are going to have this delta rule, t minus y in, because here the back propagation is it adapts on its own. The calculation for this error calculation is done by the network itself, whereas in case of earlier cases we have to do the calculation part, right? The error computation, we have to find out the difference. So that is why we didn't use this formula. Instead we directly substitute the values alpha t xi. We directly substitute the values in the case of earlier perceptron concept. In case of Adalin, it's adaptive, so the network learns on its own. It does the calculation part on its own. Error value, error computation. Okay? This is delta rho. And the same thing here, you don't have the input, the rest are the same. If your obtained value and the target value are same, you don't do the operation at all. This is stopping function, you stop it. Okay? So this is adaptive network, Adalin. Now, as I told you, the extended version of Adalin is the medallion concept, right? So when coming to the medallion, the only difference is that, so for example, let's take this. I'm just going to mark this Adalin network as A, okay? And you have, this is your medallion network. So this, I have the input layer, I have the output layer. This Adalin network is going to be my hidden layer. Okay. Now this entire structure is known as medallion. Simple, right? I'm just going to have this Adalin concept as my hidden layer. Now this entire architecture is known as medallion. Okay, very simple. Okay, just go with the flow. You don't have to buy heart anything. It's a the basic version is a perceptron. Okay, and in with perceptron you can have single unit or multiple units. And with perceptron, if you add back propagation, it is known as adalin. And if you have this adalin as a hidden layer, then that is known as medallion. Okay, just go with the flow. It will be very easy. The same characteristics is given here. Okay, so adalin will act as a hidden unit and the weights are adjustable. So you have the weights and bias as one initialized, and again you use the delta rule here. No, wherever you have the backpropagation concept, you will be dealing with the delta rule because this delta is nothing but t minus obtained value, target minus obtained value. Okay, so this is associated with backpropagation. Again, we go into the training part. So this is architecture. Now see, so this is your adalin network. This entire thing is known as medallion. Okay, so what do you have to do here? In the earlier cases, you had like single layer, so you calculated y indirectly. But before calculating y, you have to calculate q with respect to weight and input. So these are the incomings for this q. For this q1, x and w are the incoming values. Okay, so you calculate this q part, you calculate the overall q part summation part, and then so I have this q here. Then if you're calculating y, then it's q and v1, qj, v2. Okay, so for calculating q you need x and w. For calculating y you need q and v. So these are the links, right? The income, you have to look at only the incoming part. Okay, you don't have to look at the previous layers, just look at the incoming part alone. So to calculate Q, I need X and W because those are the incoming for Q. To calculate Y, I need Q and V. Those are the incomings. Let's go into the training algorithm. The same thing, initialize weight, bias and learning rate. Initialize your X value. Oh, see, as I told you, the first thing is you are supposed to calculate Q. Okay? In the earlier algorithms, we calculated Yn, right? Here it's Qn, J because you have multiple units. You have to mention which unit is that. You have to mention which unit you are calculating. Okay. So I need X and W. Along with it, I have the bias calculated. Okay. On top of this, you're going to apply the function. You see this? The overall part is f of q and j. Okay, now I have to calculate. I have the q value ready. I have the v values. Now I need to calculate the y. How do you do that? Y in, this j is for multiple units. Again, instead of x, I have the q, and instead of w, I have the v. Do this, substitute this into the activation function, and get the final output. Okay. Same flow. Don't get confused. No, it's the same formula everywhere. All you have to do is play with the I, J, and whatever the substitutes. Okay, that's it. Now, how do you update the weights and biases? So you have to, since it's a backpropagation concept, so from here only you're going to calculate the error value, right? Based on this output only you're going to calculate the error value. So the very first thing that you have to do is you have to update the V values and Q value. Okay. Once done with the updation part here, then you have to update the W and X here. So this is known as backpropagation. You're going in the backward direction. Okay. So first we'll calculate the error value. You see here. Where it is? Yes. So calculate the error value with respect to Q because we have Q here next to Y. So this is the direction, right? So backward direction, I have Q here. So with respect to Q only, I'm going to calculate the error value. So I'm calculating the error value with respect to X and then update it. The same with bias. I don't have the input here. You update it. Okay. And again, so this is in case of target value is equal to 1. We saw it is a bipolar function, right? It uses bipolar values, which means it's either going to be 1 or minus 1 value. So if your target value is going to be 1, then it's t minus error value. t minus actual value, right? So t substitute 1 here, it's 1 now, minus the previous layer is q. So I have q here, 1 minus q. So in the next case, if your target is going to be minus 1, then substitute it in the formula. So it's t minus actual value, right? So instead of this t, I'm going to substitute this minus 1 minus this actual value is q. Okay, substitute it and you get the updation weight again. If there are no, if y equal to t, then there should be no change in your weights. Okay, so this is how the backpropagation works. I hope you guys are clear with the formulas. It's just a single formula, ma. It's a single formula. All you have to do is play with the substitutes, I, j values with respect to the given architecture. Okay, so this backpropagation I've already explained it. So this is a backpropagation. The backward direction. You pass the input signals in the forward direction and you get it in the backward direction. Okay, I'll just leave this to you. That's all about today's topic. If there's any doubts, you can ask me. I need to stop presenting.